Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the founder of Food Truck Training Group on Facebook, co-owner with my beautiful wife, Melissa, of our own food truck. It's called Food Truck 101, and I'm the executive director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, a nonprofit that's dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today I'm going to be talking about writing a profitable menu. I'm going to give you guys a little glimpse into what I'm talking about at the Food Truck Owners Expo this year. The Food Truck Owners Expo is in Houston, Texas, July 29th and 30th. Like I said, I'm going to be there giving 3 presentations, one on how to write a profitable menu, one on marketing in your off-season, and then one on all of us as a food vending industry speaking with one voice so that we can affect change in our industry. After I give my presentations, I'm going to be out on the main expo floor in the Campfire Networking Lounge where you guys can sit down and talk to me. You can listen to me talk about various subjects. You can ask me any kind of questions that you have. It's a way for us all to get together and know each other, know other food trucks, and then help uplift this industry. So again, if you'd like to see me in Houston, Texas, it's going to be July 29th and 30th. Go to ftoexpo.com. and place that order for those tickets today, and when you do, put in code FTTG15 for a 15% discount. And I hope to see you guys in Houston, Texas. I want to thank Table Needs for sponsoring this episode of the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Table Needs is a full-service POS system that's capable of handling your busy food truck, cash, credit card, and reporting needs. Check out the link in the description for more information about Table Needs. So we're going to talk a little bit today about writing a profitable menu. Now, you guys know that I talk a lot about food cost and all the different things pertaining to food cost. So writing a profitable menu is a part of food cost. In order for your menu to be profitable, you do need to know every single ingredient that goes into that product, no matter how complex the product is, no matter how simple the product is. And it's not only the food, you also have to include anything that's going to be handed to the guest. So paper bags, napkins, straws, cups, lids, condiments, anything that you plan on giving the guest as a part of the meal. And then also you want to think about what could the guest be asking for. So for example, French fries, we automatically give ketchup. We do chicken wings, we automatically give a sauce. Those things need to be included in the food cost so that you can in turn create a profitable price for that product. A lot of food vendors do not include the full spectrum of everything that they give out. So how you write a profitable menu. First step is that food cost. We got to know what it costs you. And that's not guessing. You cannot guess. You guys know that I coach a whole bunch of people. And when we have that talk about food cost, I'll ask them, how much does this cost? Let's go through and do a product. You pick a product, whatever's on your menu, and we're going to go through and cost it. And they'll pick a product. So I'm letting them determine what they want to know about. And they'll say, okay, I have this product here. I say, great. What comes in it? And then as soon as they would say, okay, it has this, I'll say, how much does that cost? Some people will know. Most people don't. It's about $2.50 to $3 a pound. No, it's not an about. We need to know exactly. So once I get them nailed down on the price of every single ingredient, then we got to make sure that every single ingredient is actually being accounted for. So they'll pick a product again. I'll let them pick the product. They'll say, okay, we're going to do brisket. All right, is that wrapped in aluminum foil? Are you putting any kind of seasoning on it? What are you doing? Oh, well, yeah, I do all of that. Well, we got to account for all of that. What's the rub? What's the ingredients that are in the rub? How much do those cost you? How much of the rub is going on there? And I don't want to hear about. I'll put a handful. Well, that's awesome. Measure it. You have to be specific. You have to be specific just for 2 reasons. And these reasons will make or break your business. The 2 reasons are you have to be consistent, which means that every single recipe is made exactly the same way. You don't guess. You don't tip the bottle and go, yep, that looks about right. You pull out a measuring cup and you measure. And I don't care how little the portion is. 1/8 of a teaspoon, measure it. You want consistency. You don't want the guest going, man, this tastes really good today. What's different? If they're making those kind of comments to you, you've probably got a recipe problem. And then the other thing you got to make sure, besides consistency, is cost. How much does this cost me every single time? Because if you're guessing, that means sometimes it costs you more, sometimes it costs you less, which means your profitability is going to be a roller coaster. We're going up the hill and you have the little chain pulling you up the hill. Awesome, 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 because you're getting higher and higher in profits. But some point you reach the peak of that hill and now you're screaming all the way down because the recipes aren't consistent. You cannot be guessing. So be consistent. Write a recipe, cost out the recipe, and include everything. If you're creating your own rub mix, how much does that cost you? How much is being put on it every single time? Are you wrapping it in aluminum foil to cook it? Now, while the aluminum foil doesn't go to the guest, it's a part of the process to assemble that product, so it has to be accounted for. Are you using 2 feet worth of aluminum foil when you got to wrap that? How are you accounting for that product in your recipe? You got to do that. Now, once you got the recipe accounted for, you know what the yield is, and the yield is a consistent span. If you create a recipe that has a meat product in it, it's going to vary. 1 or 2 portions per recipe that you create. But for the most part, you should be able to get it down. Then you've also got yields on products that we buy by the pound, but we sell by the piece. And that becomes confusing for people. So once you know the ranges, the spans, the yields, and you get yourself a good average, you got all the ingredients, salt, pepper, oil, all the way down. Bun oil, some people put butter or bun oil on their buns. You got to account for that. Then you got to account for the wraps and the napkins and the other things that you give as a part of the meal. If you're giving out silverware, if you're giving out salt packets, all that stuff has to be accounted for. What we do is we account for more than we give out. We account for 5 napkins per product. We only give out 2 as a standard. And then if somebody says, hey, I got to have some extra napkins, no problem, because they've already been paid for by other people that came before that person. We account for more ketchup than they're going to need for fries. We account for 5 packages, but we give out 2 as a standard. Somebody says, I want extra ketchup. No problem. It's already paid for. There's a book out there called Given the Pickle. You need to read it, written in the mid-90s. It's a way for you to understand guest service having been done through Give Them the Pickle. Somebody wants extra pickles on a sandwich. You don't go, I got to charge you for it, because I'm too stupid to understand my own food costs. I'm afraid I'm going to lose out on this 2 cents worth of pickles you want. You want to look petty, that's the way to do it. We're in food service. You do it right, you can make a whole bunch of money. You do it wrong, like sadly some people are wrong, you're just going to lose and be frustrated and hate the industry and then get out of it after you spend a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of time. So we got all the ingredients. We got all of the things that are going to be passed out potentially. So now we got a cost. How do we know it's going to be profitable? This is where it gets a little bit complicated. You cannot look at any quote-unquote cost software that's going to tell you that, okay, if you got $3 in the product, you need to sell it for. Okay, and I tell people it needs to be, you want to average a 25% food cost. So if it costs you $3, you want 25%, that means you're selling that particular item for $12. 3 divided by 12 gives you the 25% food cost. People stop at that point and go, yep, that's what Bill said, 25%. Okay, here's the problem. Not every product can be sold at 25% food cost, and then there's other products that should never be sold at a 25% food cost. So you can't just cost something out on a spreadsheet and go, yep, we're going to be profitable, because it doesn't work that way. And that's what the course is going to be all about. That's what my talk's going to be all about. You can't just look at it and go, okay, 4 times cost. You can't look at a static spreadsheet that's just going to tell you, put in your ingredients and we'll tell you how much to charge. It all has to work together. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in Houston and probably in Orlando too, if that's one of the topics they want me to talk about. I want to thank you guys for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Please take a moment to follow our podcast, and if you really like what we do, then please subscribe and support us. There's going to be a link in the description so you can give us that support. Every little bit does help keep us going. I want you guys to have an awesome summer. Hope to see you in Houston here in about 2 weeks. And you guys do have a profitable day.